Hi everyone, welcome to our video today. I'm Lisa, this is Hannah, and this is our new addition, Leo or Leonardo. So Leo arrived in March and we're so thrilled to have a new member of the family and a new gardener. So we're going to do our video today with Leo, but we're talking about what we did like in 2025. So this has kind of become a tradition every year to do these videos, and we separate them. So the next one we'll have out is what we didn't like, because I think it's important to reassess your garden the previous year and think about what worked and what didn't work. And I just like to share all of that with you at home, what worked for us and what didn't work for us. So there's quite a few things, and we're going to talk about some plant favorites today, some tool favorites today. It could be design favorites, whatnot. So anything that really did work in the garden, right, Leo? And for Hannah, this is a really important video because we were just talking about how now that she has the 3 little ones, there really isn't a lot of time for gardening, but you still all really enjoy the garden. So it's important to have some really low maintenance plants and techniques. Okay, so let's get right into it, because our first thing that we really did like is your rose.
Yes, my rose. And so I got this rose, I think in 2024.
It was a couple years ago.
2024, 2023. And I didn't know the name of it, but it bloomed beautifully this year. And you were asking me, what's the name of that rose? And it's Leonardo da Vinci. And it's funny because his name is Leonardo. And it's this beautiful pink rose that looks like a peony. It's gorgeous.
So speaking of peonies, we love our peonies, and there is so much to love about them. We have quite a few peonies in the garden. We dry peonies, make lots of bouquets with them, and then leave a lot in the garden to really enjoy. But we were talking about if we had to pick a couple favorites, we'd probably
I have my number one.
Okay, go ahead.
Sarah Bernhardt, for sure. That's
for
my
sure.
favorite.
And that's a tried and true. That one's really reliable. So if there's one peony that I plant for a client, and I'm talking about herbaceous peonies, that is my number one. And it is a little bit fragrant too. But another thing I really like this year is, because you didn't have a lot of time, you don't typically have time to stake or cage any of your peonies. And with the herbaceous peonies, it's pretty common that you have to do that because the flowers get so heavy they flop. But there's a couple that we didn't have to stake this year, and those are winners. So for you, the one that really didn't need caging was
Coral Sunset.
Coral Sunset, which is a beautiful,
so pretty
peony. And then for me, it was Bowl of Beauty. Now, I may do some more videos on some of these topics, so if we touch upon one that you really like, we may already have a video out, and I'll try to mention it or put a note up somehow. But if there's any videos that you might be interested in on any of these topics, some full-length videos, please let us know. So let's talk about tulips. Because I have a couple favorites and newbies that I planted this year, and again, they made some really stunning bouquets. So tulips can be a little tricky, much trickier than daffodils, because the rodents love to eat the bulbs, so you have to plant them with protection, and I find that the deer will munch on them a little bit. But this year I experimented and planted some different types, which we have a full-length video on. But the really cool one that you noticed over in my raised beds as well was the parrot tulip.
That's right.
The shape, and then I had some fringe. So it's some really beautiful tulips. But the funny thing is that Grace, who is now 6 and loves flowers, she went over and I let her pick whatever she wanted, and she was really drawn to the red one. I have a really great picture of her, and I think it's bombastic red. A lot of people are really drawn to that traditional red tulip, and that is a great one, the bombastic red. So Okay, well, speaking of kids in the garden, I think that's something we really wanted to touch upon for what we did like,
Yeah.
because there was a lot of action out in the garden, family
Yes.
action.
Yes.
Because we go out there, we hang out there, and love to get the kids involved. And what do you think their favorite things to do in the garden are?
Well, my middle child, Jonathan, he really enjoyed helping me water the garden this year with the hose. He insisted on doing the watering, which was great. It was a great activity for him. So I think Jonathan enjoyed the watering. Grace just enjoyed the bouquets, I think, this year. Picking flowers.
Yeah, and I think it's also a nice sensory thing, you know, to have a lot of kid-friendly plants in the garden that they can pick, and they love just going out there smelling flowers.
Yes, they do like to smell the flowers.
There was a couple of times I came over and Hannah's garden was in full bloom, and Jonathan would walk me out there just to show me a couple things, because he had some favorites out there this year. So I think I might have some photos or clips of that, because it was just so adorable.
And the butterflies too. The butterfly watching they enjoyed, I think.
Yes, yeah, it's a really good educational experience for them as well. So another thing I really liked, and you had mentioned Jonathan watering, and I don't think he could keep up with the watering at my house or yours. But I did a video this year in Florida installing our own irrigation system. Loved that. Much easier than I thought. So if you don't have someone to water for you or a lot of time to water, I would highly recommend it. It was, I think it was a Hunter 8-zone system, and I can put some things up in the affiliate links. But I have a picture of when we installed it, what the plants look like, and then we left it for a couple months, and I have a follow-up picture of my containers and plants and how much they grew. And especially in Florida, I think that is a must-have. So I was really pleasantly surprised with how that turned out.
I think I added some new plants this year, and because some plants, unfortunately, we had to remove. Like there was a lilac.
Don't give the tips away, because we're going to talk about some of those plants in the did not like.
But I had to replace some plants, and one plant that we got was a beautiful Rose of Sharon called Pink Chiffon. Just such a beautiful, like, blush pink color.
Yes. And you are a sucker for Rose of Sharon. It's funny, you have another one out there, which I think is Azuri Blue, which is really beautiful. So added a new pink hibiscus or Rose of Sharon. And P.S., we don't have to remove something to add something else. We add new things to the garden and switch it up every year. So added that, and then another tried and true for you that's really easy that you talk about every year are the daylilies.
So
Americalis. So super easy plant or perennial, reliable, comes back in flowers every year, and a lot of the pests and deer tend to stay away from it. I mean, of course, if they're hungry, they'll eat anything, and we're going to also get back to that topic in the did not like. But what was the new daylily?
I think it was strawberry candy, but there's so many varieties, and I enjoy adding like a new variety every year because they're just so beautiful, so easy.
Yes, yep. And then another one that you really liked. So we plant dahlias and glads every year.
That's right.
And we always end up with some favorites. But I had, from the previous year, I gave you some glad bulbs. And we didn't remember what they were.
It was just a surprise.
But you really loved, we have a photo of this one. I think it's called Smoky or Smoky Purple. And it looks exactly like a smoky lavender color. Really beautiful and reliable. And then the dahlias, I know we were obsessed with Kelvin Floodlight the year before, the yellow dinner plate. But this year I got really hooked on Otto's Thrill, which is another dinner plate, pink, beautiful pink. And again, we made so many bouquets with all of these flowers. So seeds, we always try new seeds every year. We have our tried and true favorites, but the easiest method for us is finding flowers and vegetables that are direct sow. So meaning we don't have to start them inside because nobody around here has time for that. So this year we did direct sew Cosmos, which, and you've been telling me constantly
Order them.
this year, order them, order them, order them. So they're called Apricotta.
Yeah.
So
So pretty.
beautiful apricot Cosmos. I felt like the flowers were a little more petite than like the Sensation Cosmos.
But the color was so unique, I think.
Color was stunning. Looked like summer to me. And then another favorite, because I do want to just hit on vegetables. We didn't do quite as many vegetables this year, but another favorite for you that's really coming along.
Yes. I've been dying to try asparagus, and so I planted the asparagus a couple years back, and now they're really starting to come up. So not ready to
Right.
harvest yet, but I'm really excited about that.
But I think the great thing about asparagus is it is a perennial vegetable, so you don't have to plant it again and again every year. So I think, you know, that might be a great video topic. And I know it's really important for you with the kids just to have like things that are going to take care of themselves.
Really easy things, yes.
Asparagus. And I have clients that have asparagus and they use the foliage in the asparagus for their filler in some cut bouquets. Okay, so Leo needed a little break from our gardening video, so he's playing with some toys. So just a couple more things. I wanted to mention one other little plant and then a couple of tools that really helped us out this year. So I do want to mention my calendula because I have an area in my terraced garden that was a vegetable bed. Didn't have a lot of time for it this year. Battled some woodchucks who figured out how to get in there. And it ended up being mostly calendula, and it also reseeds itself. But it is a favorite for me because it is so easy. Reseeds itself. The deer and the woodchucks don't seem to bother it. You can use it in a lot of cosmetics. It dries well, and we even collected some seeds.
That's right, yes.
And Jonathan gave the seeds to some of his teachers and Grace as well. We packaged them in some cute little packets. But it was fun to harvest the seeds with the kids, and then you get free seeds. So that was another great thing about it. Okay, last but not least, I want to talk about a couple of tools that made our lives easier. So number one is lots of deer action in my garden this year. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that more and what happened there, because there was some reasons for that in what we didn't like video. But one of the things that helped was we set up a motion detector sprinkler on a tripod. And that kind of startled them when they would come into the garden. So that was really great. And number two is my front garden was overrun with weeds. We're also going to get to how that happened in our next video, what we didn't like. But I found this tool, which is basically a stand-up weeder. It has 4 claws, and you can just, it's about 2 or 3 feet tall. You can stand up, and it has a little pedal on it, and it lifts the weeds and then ejects them. Really helped save my back because, man, we had a lot of weeds, and I think Josh and I spent a full week weeding that garden. So that really helped with my back and remove a lot of those weeds. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for joining us, and we always want to hear your comments. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for some future gardening fun.